I got bourbon.
Okay,
No.
3, 2, 1.
All right, so welcome back. This is Real Talk with Pivot Realtors. We're excited. It's 2021. We're sitting here with Christy Brandner-Alwell. For those of you that don't know her, she leads the C. Allwell team here at Pivot Realty Group, and she came together with me today to talk about transitioning from another career into the real estate industry and how that's done. And so we're going to speak about that and get all of Christy's experience, how she did that a few years ago, and we're just excited to hear from her. So pumped. It's going to be a fantastic, a good day, and I don't know, she might not be able to not talk for 10 or 15 minutes. So get some questions. So when you're able to give us some questions, Christy will come back on maybe this afternoon, see if you asked any questions, posed any questions, and then see if she could direct you to our career development co-directors. So it's exciting times. It's going to be a fun day. All right, so Christy, transitioning into the real estate industry and career you have a great reference point. You were in the hospitality industry. Correct. And so I think there's so many people out in the world that have always thought about the real estate industry, and they've thought, how in the world can I make this happen? So what's your thoughts? How did it happen and how did it work for you? Because it's so tough for so many people to figure out.
For me, it was more or less you coming
That's
to me
nice.
and actually having the faith and trust in me that I could make that transition. As you know, I was kind of the breadwinner at our family, and it was mentally hard for me to think about giving that up. So I had someone that believed in me, which then in return gave me a little more faith in myself that I could do it.
Yeah, I mean, the cool thing is you did have some sales experience, right?
Yes, correct.
So you were in the hospitality business. So what'd you do there?
So planned weddings,
Okay.
Corporate events, meetings, holiday parties, you name it, booked hotel rooms, all of that stuff. But as you learn in the hospitality business, it's all about the customer and the consumer. So I could bring that into this business and knowing that I'm dealing with that. And I dealt with very large, high number transactions. I mean, it could be $60,000 wedding, or it could be a $250,000 conference. So I was already dealing with high emotion events with what buying a home is.
So it helped having some sales experience and having the personal interactions in that environment, because I imagine that those were really emotional times.
Absolutely.
It's good when a wedding's happening, everybody's really excited, but there's a lot of tough things happening behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
Right? And then corporate events, there's a lot of things coming together to make sure that gets coordinated.
Right.
And so that was good. That naturally was a transition into real estate. But why do you think that I had so much faith in you? So we knew each other for a long time, but that wasn't the key. I've known a lot of people in my network for a long time that I wouldn't reach out to. Nothing personal, but maybe just their past or who they are, their personality, I don't think is going to fit and connect with consumers as well. So why do you think you?
Well, because I came after you to host a holiday party.
Enough about me, yeah.
And you made me present to you and Saul why I thought it was a good idea for you to bring your holiday party to me. Yes, it was a 30-person event, and it wasn't as much money as I normally booked. But to me, a piece of business is a piece of business, whether it's $3,000 or $30,000. So I treat everyone the same, and that's what I did for you guys.
Yeah.
So
Even though I knew you so long, I didn't reach out to you to get into the business before that happened.
Nope.
And so the story is you prospected us to hold a holiday party at that Marriott that you did all the events at.
correct.
And by you prospecting us, when you left, I was like, I don't think we want to spend the money to come to Marriott because we weren't there as a company.
Right.
However, after you left, I turned to Saul and went, why are we not recruiting her to get into this business? Because you actually did the exact behavior, prospecting us to hold an event that it takes in this industry to ask people to represent them, to list their home with them, for you to represent them in a buying transaction. Right. So that felt natural, combined with your personality, and I just knew you were a loyal, committed person.
Yes.
So that was good. So because there's so many people in the industry, we talk about the success and failure rate. Something like 78% of the people that get their real estate license nationally don't maintain the license 18 months later.
Right.
And so that's just a bad failure rate. We flipped it as a company. I think we're the opposite of 80%, but since it's such a tough transition, it was important for us to find a way when you were taking such a leap of faith, right? You were the breadwinner, leaving that career and to do something new with us. So the question is, not a big sales pitch. If people are thinking about real estate, should they get their license? Should they get into this career? Like if you were sitting down talking to a friend, me and you were good friends.
Right.
Should they?
I mean, for me, it was perfect and it was what I needed, but it also took a lot of self-reflection.
What do you mean by that?
Well, just can I do it? Am I willing to do the work? Am I willing to give up 2 to 3 years of my life to commit to this career to have a better life down the future? As you know, I was pregnant with my daughter. So I had to commit to bring her here in a pumpkin seat and sit in the office and work when I would rather be at home just spending time with her, feeding her and hanging out. But to me, it was more important to be here focusing on this career. So when she was 4 or 5, we could have those things that I always wanted for my children.
When did you get your license? So we're here January of 2021.
June of, she was born 16.
Okay. So you're 4.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Are you happy you made the jump?
Absolutely.
Okay. And without giving a sales pitch to people, just to talk honestly. So why absolutely?
Well, it's freed up my time to run and get the kids when I need to off the bus or pick them up from school. I can bring them to the office and have them sit and do stuff, and I can get my job done. My clients are very flexible in allowing me, if I have to bring them because my husband's working, to bring my kids with me. It's given me flexibility that I never had if I was working 8 to 6 or 7 or 8 o'clock at night at my other job, which I gave 6 days a week. Yeah. But I had to be there, and there was no way I could pick up my kids and bring them with me. So that's given me some more family time. It's given me much more money in my life. Yep. I was set. I knew what I was making monthly. Now I can exceed that, and I usually do. Yep. I've built a team of people that support me, that I support them, and we all have children at home, and we all have to have the support of one another to make it all work. So this whole environment has given me what I've been looking for probably all my career and wanted, but didn't know until I got here. So
if you would do it over again and go through the pain of the first 2 to 3 years of all the sacrifice to build what you have now 4.5 years later, what advice can you give to people if they're like, hey, I'm going to get into real estate? Like, what do they need to do when they get in the business? Like, not to make it feel terrible, like nobody wants to do this, but what is essential? What are the things you did that you knew you needed to do, whether it's for me, whether it's our training, our development department, our coaches, which you are for the company now, you're coaching new agents as they get into business. What are the things that's important that they do when they get their real estate license the first 6 months, the first 12 months? And did you know it or have you learned it? Like, what do you know now that's important that you did, and what should you do? Well, I was always told, just come to the office, just be here, be around real estate, be around people, listen. So I did. I literally came in, like I said, with my daughter in hand and sat here and listened to agents that had way more experience, to listen how they talked to clients, how they recruited clients, what they did daily. Went to lunch with people, went to lunch with old clients that I had before. So I immersed myself into the real estate world, 100%, 110% probably. Working days and nights and evenings and listening to podcasts and whatever it needed to be to put myself in that mindset of real estate. Now, I also have a great background with being a hard worker. So my group of people that I influenced knew that about me. So when I left hotels, some of my first clients were people in hotels because they knew my work ethic. They knew I would do the right thing. They knew I would work hard for them. So getting into it and showing them that I was working in it 24/7 and giving my all, it gave them faith that I could do it for them too. So it just makes sense. So what are some things then, if that's what you needed to do? So it's you said you need to have a good work ethic. That means willing to put in the hours. Right. Now, I think so many people get their real estate license thinking like, oh, I'm going to get my real estate license because of the flexibility it offers, right? Right. That's a big issue that we see that people have. Doesn't matter the company they go work for. That's a misnomer. You have to actually work more initially in this career than maybe the 40 you're working at your other job. Right. But your story is it's worth it at the end.
It is. Oh, absolutely.
So what are some of the things that we talked about we need to do? Have a good work ethic, show up, be around the office, listen to people that have come before, some mentors. You kind of hear that. You read it in books. You hear it from people on podcasts. What are some of the things you see a lot of new agents, because you're a coach now, what are things that you see the average person, average human, when they get a real estate license, the things that they fall into or things they shouldn't do that they do? What do you need to stay away from? A mindset, an action, what needs to happen? Because how many people do you coach right now?
10.
Okay. So it's not just about them, but what do you see agents in this industry, in this business, doing wrong when they get licensed?
Well, I think a lot of it is they're not 110% committed.
What's that mean?
Well, they're keeping a second job, or they're prioritizing their family, which people should, but to a certain extent, to understand, like, when you're at home, you can still be working and doing social media or whatever it may be. But taking that leap like I had to, and say, okay, I'm not going to, because I was going to go part-time, if you remember. I'll do this on the side. I'll sell a couple houses here and there. And
what did I say to you?
You said, don't, because you'll never succeed if you don't, because you'll never give up that crutch.
Yeah.
So I had to just jump.
Yeah. So
and then once I jumped,
right, it worked.
You just have to do it.
Sometimes we do have agents go part-time, right? But then they had to have a moment. Like, you could be part-time for 2 years, but you have to have a moment where you just leave the old thing behind and you commit. And it's not going to be a comfortable moment, right?
Oh,
you just have to jump off of the edge and say, I'm gonna sink or swim.
Right.
And you find a way to swim, right? So they need to commit 110%.
Right.
What
and
else?
They have to be okay to fail sometimes, but learn from that and know you're not going to be the person that just jumps in and starts selling everything, and you have a million deals. But that's okay.
I wonder why we've evolved to that thinking. I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast last night, and he was talking to Tony Hinchcliffe, who was a tennis pro, grew up playing tennis, and now he's a comedian. I think he's on like The Daily Show or something. And they were talking about what it takes to succeed. And between the two of them, what Joe Rogan mentioned, he said, guys, you can go back, because he was on Fear Factor.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that, but he was on Fear Factor. He was a stand-up comedian before he was this podcaster being paid $100 million by Spotify or whatever it is. But he talked about, he said, if you go back and see videos from my early days of my stand-up comedy, they're terrible. He said, it's embarrassing to look and know that was me. He said, but the reason why I embrace it, I'm okay with it, is because I know I had to do that. I had to actually develop my skills. I had to work on this career and let it evolve, and you had to refine it. And he said, I've never seen anyone succeed at a really high level with going through those moments in their career. So why are we not willing to do that? So why do 78% of the people that get a real estate license fall into that, and they have a little bit of failure and they think that's their outcome? What's your opinion? Why do you think that is?
I think they just self-doubt. They don't have the confidence to know that they're better than that, to just keep moving. And it's hard when you have your first no. Yeah. You're like, why? I'm pretty great. And now I'm someone that has pretty high self-confidence in myself.
You do.
So I'm like, I'm awesome. I don't know why you don't want to hire me. But I don't think everybody has that in them. And I don't think you can train that to somebody. You just have to hope that they'll find it within them. Right.
But I think what I think we've done though with coaching, we've realized that there's an opportunity for us to help people overcome that. Right. And so you as a coach, how you're helping 10 people, I'm assuming that's a lot of your conversations. Right. To try to change this mindset, to try to help people overcome it. Right. So, all right. So as we wrap this up, so we get done with some real talk. So what's the kicker on should people take the plunge if they're thinking about real estate? Give us the 30 seconds of advice here. Yeah. If they are, then they need to really sit down and think to themselves, are they ready to commit a year, 2, 3 years to working 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, immersing themselves into this business so then they can have the career that they want down the line and the free time with their family. Absolutely. So I love that. And I think, from my perspective, the reason why that's worth it is because I know that 3 years goes by in a snap. It did. Right. And so if we work really hard and commit to something at a higher level than we've done before, we're going to look back and be so happy that we did that. Yeah. We have a couple recruiters, co-directors of career development here with Aaron Dorfman and Nicole Trimpe that help people transition. And then we have you as a coach and 3 other coaches to help people transition the career. So thank you. You're welcome. Thanks for being with us for 4.5 years. Right. So thank you for another edition of Real Talk with Pivot Realtors. See ya.